Hello and good morning from Hong Kong. Welcome to this, the very fourth episode of Sourcing Talk Supplier Stories. My name is Tom. I'll be your host for this live stream, and we have a great program coming up for you. Today's discussion topic is leaping the language barrier, which is all about dealing with the difficulties in communicating across non-native language complications in business. You might be speaking your native language, but the other party in a sourcing transaction very often is not, or indeed both parties might be speaking second languages. And in fact, that's what's going to be happening today. I've got the advantage of being on home turf in English, but we'll have three guests joining us who will be assaying the conversation in a second language. And so they'll definitely be able to share their best practices, the difficulties they've encountered, and how they've overcome them. And hopefully you'll be able to see some of those best practices happening during the conversation that we have. The guests that we have today are, in fact, James Chan. He's from Shenghao Packing Industry. We have Flora Ching of Qingdao Sango Construction Technology. And we have Leo Liang of Shenzhen Wushan Best Electronics. So three quite different industries, but all with the issue in common of dealing with language barriers in business, but coming from quite different points of view. Now, the function of the Sourcing Talk live streaming series is always to cater to you, the sourcing professional, and whether you're owner-operator of a small business, maybe working for a medium-sized enterprise, or in fact, perhaps you're purchasing officer for a gigantic multinational corporation. We want to ask and answer the questions that matter to you. And the best way that we can do that, of course, is for you to tell us what those questions are. So at any point while you're watching this live, whether it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you can leave a comment, ask a question, make an observation, and we will share that with our guests and get their input, and see what they have to say about that. So that's the conversation that we have coming up very shortly. But before that, I'd also like to trail a coming attraction that will be happening towards the end of this live stream. We will be joined by Avi Dakubo, who's one of our global sources analysts based in the Philippines. And I think we can talk to Avi now. Hey, morning, Avi.
Hi, Tom. Good morning. Hello, everyone.
Hey. How's it going there in Manila?
We're doing better after the flood. Thank you. How is it going there in Hong Kong?
Okay. I mean, no flooding here, so I mean, really nothing to complain about in
Lucky
comparison.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, I kept getting emails from people in our Philippines office apologizing for things being late. It's just it's a flood. There's nothing. What can you do about it? Don't worry. So anyway, I'm glad that you're all okay. But
Mhm.
let's get to the meat of the issue. What are we going to be talking about later?
So, we're going to be discussing robotics, so the advancements of service robots and educational robots.
Okay, is that something you've been looking into recently or working on?
Yes, I've recently been researching and writing articles about the advancements of robots, especially now since the pandemic happened. Really, they've gotten more popular and more valuable, and they're expected to become a booming industry in the next years to come.
All right, now that sounds pretty exciting. So we'll look forward to
Mhm.
that. Seems like there's lots of sourcing opportunities or things to be
Yes,
prepared for
indeed.
in the near future. All right, okay. So thank you, Avi. We'll talk to you again later on. Bye for now. Okay. So yeah, there you go. That's Avi Dakuba in Manila. Join us. Well, stick with us until a bit later on, roughly an hour, maybe. Let's say, and find out what Avi can share with us about the changing trends in robotics. It sounds like, the often a somewhat futuristic or advanced and maybe slightly out of the grasp of the everyday consumer topic. But in fact, the way that robotics has been expanding into everyday life, into all different kinds of applications, means that it's something that sourcing professionals in a lot of different categories should be aware of, at least, to know what the future impacts will be from developments in robotics. So, okay, there we go. That's coming attractions duly previewed. we'll move on to our guest interview segment. We're discussing leaping the language barrier today. And so let's see who we have. Who's our first guest joining us? It's James Chan. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Tom.
Hi, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm fine. Hope you all is fine too.
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks very much. Now I'm in Hong Kong. Where are you joining us from?
I'm from Jiangsu. We are located in Jiangsu province, Suzhou city.
Oh, Suzhou, very nice. Wow, I mean, Suzhou is very famous in China, of course, but maybe not so well known out for overseas audiences, I guess. I suppose I would say that Suzhou is famous for its kind of ancient city, lakes, canals, and gardens. That's fair to say, right?
For beautiful skins and silk products.
Oh yes, silk, of course. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's certainly worth a visit and some shopping, I guess, if you go there. So great, thank you. Now, of course, to business. Can you tell us a bit about your company? Give us an introduction.
We are a packaging company. We specialize producing about paper bags, plastic bags, non-woven bags, or for promotional gift bags. And our company was established in 1998. So we have great experience and producing this kind of bags.
I see.
Now
And
we have widely cooperated brands.
oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay. Who are your major customers or your major markets?
Our main export market is Australia and South America.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Thanks for that. So we'll find out more about that very soon, I imagine. Let's get our second guest on if we could. Producer Bobo. Oh, hi. It's Florence Ching. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing? You're in Qingdao, is that right?
Yes, it's kind of cold.
Yeah, I imagine so. Qingdao is a lot further north. I mean, in Hong Kong, everybody is talking about how it's the winter, thinking about maybe wearing a jacket. But I think in Qingdao,
Yeah.
winter is a bit more serious. So,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
all right. And could you tell us about your company? What do you make and what market?
Yes. Of course, we are a steel structure company, and we are mainly doing warehouse, workshop, poultry house, profile house, and container house.
Okay, interesting. And do you have a lot of overseas customers as well?
Yes, of course. Actually, we have did a lot of projects in abroad, over 100 countries.
Wow.
Yes, especially Africa, so Latin America, and Asia. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, so we're going to have a lot of interesting anecdotes to share, I imagine. Okay, thank you. And finally, let's bring on our third guest, and that is Leo Liang, who's from Best. Good morning, Leo.
Hello, Tom. Morning.
How are you doing?
Yeah, fine. And you?
Very well, thank you. And where are you calling us from?
From Shenzhen.
Shenzhen, just very close to Hong Kong indeed.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah, I think in terms of winter weather, we are probably doing the best out of all the people in this call. So, and so can you tell us a bit about your company? Give us a brief introduction.
My company is Shenzhen Sourcing Best Electronic Company Limited. And my company is a professional storage solution supplier in such as micro SD card, USB flash drive, SSD, just like this. Yes.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
And again, like what are the main overseas destinations for Best products?
Yes. Okay.
So I mean, like what different countries do you have customers in?
Mm-hmm.
What countries do your customers come from?
maybe in US or Europe company.
I see. Understood. All right. Well, fantastic. So today's topic, as we know, is leaping the language barrier. So far, we seem to be doing that okay ourselves. But just to get a bit of background, I'd like to ask each of you. Well, let's start with Leo. So, what languages do you use mostly in your business?
With overseas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing English and Mandarin. Any other languages?
Yes. Maybe when you use language when we communication with our CBAS, I think it's not being clear with our CBAS because maybe the difference is between the local language and professional terms of our CBAS and ours. I think it's major lens to communication barriers.
Understood. Yeah. I mean, let's throw this question now over to James as well. I mean, I'm guessing you mostly were working with English and Mandarin as well. What are some
Yes.
difficulties that you encounter most often?
I think the first is vocabulary, and the second is about accent, and the third is grammar.
Grammar, interesting. Can you give an example of a
For
grammar problem?
example, in Chinese, we say the time will be at the beginning. For example, we will have a meeting in the morning. In English, in the morning is at the end of the sentence, but in Chinese, we will state it at the beginning of the sentence.
I'm
So
with
this
you.
is different.
Yeah, that's right. And most of the time, of course, that doesn't cause too much trouble, but sometimes it
Yes.
will. Yes, definitely. All right. And Flora, how about you? What are some of the? Oh, sorry. First, I should ask again. I guess English and Mandarin are your main business languages.
Yes, English is the mostly used.
Yeah, and I think well, that's something we're going to come to later because, of course, you've mentioned Latin American, African destinations for your products, where those are not necessarily the native languages as well. But we'll come back to that later. What do you find on an everyday basis are the common difficulties with language barrier issues?
I think for the James side, the vocabulary, grammar, and accent is very important. But I think in our field, the very important is what did you understand the client send to you. Sometimes they will send some details for you, and I think if you can understand well for what did they see, it is very important for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, yeah, I guess when it becomes a dangerous problem is when you think you understood, but perhaps you did not. Yeah. So, all right. I mean, it's interesting actually that both you and James have mentioned accent as a thing as well, because the second question that we had on our list, and I'll tell the viewers now, by the way, just so you have a bit of the background. We do have a list of points we're going to discuss before we start. So if we refer to the next question, that's what we mean. Yeah. So the next question on that list is: do you find that there are differences in speaking or using English with a native speaker, or, and I think this is pretty common, for example, if you have a client in Brazil, their native language is going to be Portuguese, and your native language is, I assume, Mandarin or the Chinese Fangyan, but you'll be speaking English to each other. Is that quite different from doing business with someone who speaks English as a native language? And I guess, to be fair, I should ask that to James, because you mentioned accents first. Do you find it's very different?
Yes, the pronunciation is different, even if the same words. I
Yeah.
met many problems about this. We can't learn from each other. We learn from different teachers.
Right.
So
Right.
if the teacher's pronunciation is not right, then maybe we also get wrong pronunciation. So that's the point.
Yeah, that can be a problem. Is that something, Leo, have you noticed that as well? Do you find a difference
Yes.
between native and non-native?
Okay. I agree with James. I think the biggest people is in different Asians is native English speakers. Maybe they have many abbreviations. So I think the important is the difference is Asian. I agree with the Jin.
Yeah, interesting. How about you, Flora? Do you have similar thoughts?
Yes, but I think almost of clients there have some
Language
local
barrier.
words. Sorry, any question?
No,
Now
please
I
go on.
okay. There have most of clients are used to some local words. You must know their culture, and then you will know what words they usually used. It's very important for us.
That's interesting. Can you give an example of one that you encountered?
Yes, like we are mainly doing steel structure, and some countries clients are like to use prefer to shade, or some client are prefer like to warehouse, and some clients are prefer to factory. It's very different. You must yes learn their culture and guess what words they are used to. So it's very important actually.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, actually. I mean, English native speakers often enjoy comparing how they have different words for different things,
Yeah,
and that's normally quite fun. But actually, yeah, technical terms, and especially not science and technology terms, but yeah, business terminology like locations and names of like deliveries and things like that are often very different. Yeah, that is a great point. I'm also very interested by Leo's noticing that, or pointing out that actually native speakers create their own problems, which I wonder if I'm doing now, which is because they're more comfortable in English, or if you were speaking Spanish, I guess it would be the same in Spanish, but they'll talk faster, which I'm trying very hard not to do all the time in these live streams, or they will use some abbreviation, some slang, and they'll forget that the other person has no way to have learned that word. Like, these are not things you learn at school. I know that when I have meetings that are in Chinese, uh, I often have to check with people afterwards what has just been said, because of these similar issues. So I understand and feel that pain. Actually, I had a note here that I'd like to share and see what you guys think about it, which is that I think that, and this is similar to Flora's thing about learning culture, it can be useful to learn the basics of a language even if you don't intend to speak it, so that you could understand like why, say, a Portuguese speaker might use a certain kind of uh, English words, even if it's incorrect. I'll give an example so this makes sense, right? But I remember back when I was at university in Beijing, I was sitting reading a book in my room, and uh, a friend of my roommate came in, and he said to me, "What do you look?" And now that's not really an English question, but I think all three of you know exactly what he was asking me, because in Chinese that would have been 你看什么, and the word to look and to read is the same. And because I knew that, I could understand his question. But if I didn't know that, I would have like, what? So I mean, do you guys ever try to, yeah, how do you learn about the background culture of your clients? Maybe Flora, because you mentioned this. How do you research and find that out?
Sorry,
So
pardon.
when you mentioned like having to learn the culture of the customer or of the other party, how do
Uh-huh.
you do that? Do you you know?
learn some culture from local.
Yeah, how do you find out about them?
Usually, we will talk about our client, about our project, and through talking the project, we will know more the different culture with us. So when I got some details, I will search from the internet or ask some local people or local person. Well, what's the culture from your side? What should we do? Or yes, we will more know it from the internet or ask some local people.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's like extra homework. Leo and James, do you do something similar ever?
Yes, we will check the website or ask if I have client in the same position. I will check with her.
No, that's great. Leah, how about you? You said yes as well. I mean, yeah, I wonder if buyers should be doing that more as well. So that's a tip for the viewers. Try and do some background research. That can't hurt, I guess.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the next point. I think now we get to this is the key question for buyers who are watching this, and that's how to deal with these problems. So I'm going to ask Leo this question first, I think, which is about. I'd like to hear about one time that you had a problem because of language issues, and then how did you solve that problem? How did you overcome it? Can you give us an example?
For example, my company product is USB flash, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe some people, when they look for the USB, they will just say the name, but no example or no any picture for me reference, right? So so we usually use more picture and manuals to introduction our products through formal emails. Yes, we just like to do that.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. I've definitely sat through a few PowerPoint presentations where I was not following what was being said, but I definitely knew what was going on. So yeah, right. I mean, of course, images are the universal language, right? So you can't go wrong. Yeah, if you point to a picture and say, "Do you mean this?" and they say yes, then yeah, that's very smart thinking. James, how about you? What's an issue you encountered with language barriers?
About 2 years ago, I met a guy called Modi at the Canton Fair. He's from India and he speaks very fast.
Yeah.
In 1 second, he can speak like chip 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 at least 5 times with strong accent. It's a really hard time for us. And what he interested in our paperbacks. I remember that he said he will open a new shop. I can't remember how many times I said pardon. It is really an embarrassment time. So we just can by writing and some body language to understand with each other. Finally, the lucky thing is we made an agreement. It is really an impressive thing. I still remember today.
That's excellent. Yeah. Of course, yeah. Writing that. That's the thing that you see a lot, especially in Hong Kong, where language barriers are often a thing in the tourist areas. I would say the old write the number on a calculator and just show it. That's classic, right? So yeah, Again, good thinking. Body language goes a long way. Flora, how about you? What's a problem you had, and how did you solve it?
Yes, we have many clients from Latin America, but there are most of clients prefer like to speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, but it's very difficult for us because I just speak a little. it can't talk with them like English. So we must talk them by Google. But
Oh yes.
sometimes, yes, the Google is not exactly can express what did we see. So I'm learning Spanish right now. I hope one day I could speak like my English. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that would be good. But yeah, of course, yeah, Google Translate or other translation options are available. But that is a very good point. And it's funny you mentioned Spanish. We had a Global Sources online show a few
Yeah.
months ago. I was, for some reason, put in charge. Well, no, I know why. Because I do speak Portuguese, but I don't speak Spanish. But I still had to recruit Spanish-speaking guests. So I used a lot of Google Translate in my emails. Yeah, you're right. It does work, but you do have to be careful. And I guess um, I suppose, yeah, like I suppose you also have to be aware that people are often are doing the same thing the other direction. So if you're a buyer and a supplier says something or sends you an email that seems weird or a bit rude, I think you need to assume they're not being weird and they're not being rude. It's just that something has gone a little wrong, right? And you know, and the thing is, if you assume that people are trying their best, even if they are being rude, it doesn't matter because you won't feel any stress. So it's it's a good way to live your life. All right, um, so those are all very good and interesting, different examples as well, which I find yeah, very interesting. And also, I noticed there is this shared kind of answer of uh, being patient and taking the time to do what you need to do. So Leo, with his example of using more images, of course that takes more time because you have to prepare those images and send them and say, is this what you mean? Similarly, James's Tale of Modi and the writing and body language. This all adds time, but it is that patience that I guess you need to make sure you're going to have a good outcome. Um, let's take the conversation a bit broader than okay, just individuals. Are there things that your companies do to minimize the difficulties of language barriers? Well, let's start with Flora. Is there something that Sango does, like as a policy or as a common practice, to help with language problems?
Yes. When we come to our company, our manager will prepare some meeting for us. Like they will get a list for what we usually use the words. We need to receive the words every day. Yeah.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah, I do that sometimes when I'm going shopping and I know I need to say something in Cantonese, so I'll look it up before I go. Um, Leah, how about Ushun Best? What does the company do to help with language difficulties?
Mm,
The language.
our company usually use the formal email or more files to introduce us to yes.
So yeah, it's kind of using written word more to as the standard way to approach overseas customers.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And James, how about you guys up in Suzhou? Do you have any kind of company practices that help you out?
Yeah, our company encourage us to speak English every day, and they also, if we can divide it into two teams competition. Once we will have could have a party or something else to encourage us.
All right, that's that sounds fun. I don't know, is it fun or is it stressful? Or both, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I wonder what buyers can do in a similar way. Maybe they can force themselves to practice Mandarin before they visit China. I think a lot of buyers could do with that. Let's see. And then, so I think we'll be moving to some audience questions soon. Is that right? But if we have any. No, I'm not sure. I'll check with the producer later. But yeah, our final question then is, and you can answer this in as short or as long an answer as you like, which is, what is your advice for anyone doing business over the language barrier? If someone said, what's like your one or two things you would tell somebody, what would it be? Let's start with Leo. What's your best advice for language barrier problems?
I feel we have to be careful about what the buyer say, what the customer need is, what the requirement they are. Yes, I think this is important thing is an attitude. One careful attitude to this.
Yeah, thank you. Very wise words. And James, how about you? What's your top tip?
Practice more and do our best to make right pronunciation. Try to watch same language videos to learn more vocabulary. Something like this. This is my tip.
More homework, basically. All right. And Flora, how about you? Your advice to people doing business over a language barrier?
I think actually the most important when a client sends your message, you must reply him immediately. It's very important to build the trust with him. And another important is you must understand well what the client side. Yes, it is very important. These two advice.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Great advice from everyone. And this, the message that I think unifies all of your advice and your observations is that, yeah, you really need to be conscientious about the attitude, take the extra time that you need. Or in the case of replying immediately, yeah, make sure you say something as a reply and then take the time to do a full reply. Now as to like what buyers can take from that, if I allow myself a bit of a platform, is obviously if you're watching this at home or on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, this is all from the supplier's point of view. But hopefully what this has done is given you some insight into the issues that they're facing. And, I think you should be fairly able to work out therefore how this applies to you. So even if you're speaking your own native language when you're doing the business, the problems that are faced at the other end are things like making sure that you're being clear when you send a message. I, for one, will love using a complicated or fancy turn of phrase when I send a message. But if it's an important business communication, don't do that. Keep it simple and clear. Also be understanding about if it takes someone a little bit of time to reply to something, or if their reply, needs clarification. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. And as a language learner, if I can give one face-to-face conversation tip, if somebody asks you to repeat what you just said, say exactly the same thing again. Don't use a different word because they just didn't hear it properly the first time. Okay, I think we've all learned that. Oh, we've got some questions coming in. Let's pop some of those up on the screen. Oh, from Angel. So as Mandarin is getting popular nowadays, have you ever met any buyers who use Mandarin to talk to you while doing business? So in other words, have you been the native speaker and have they been the one in a second language? Leo, how about you? Anyone using Mandarin from overseas? I think we lost him. James, how about you?
Mandarin.
I haven't met.
Really? Okay. I suspect it's still slowly growing. Flora, any Mandarin speakers?
Yes, I met some clients they use Mandarin but it's from China.
Well, that doesn't matter. What is it? Yeah, I guess. All right. I mean, yeah. Okay. Good answer, I think. All right. Let's. Do we have any other comments? Let's see. From Ebony B. Oh, just a message. This has given a lot of insights. I thought the time difference was an issue, but now I know sometimes they may not understand. Well, I mean, the time difference is also an issue. Let's be fair. But so yeah, thank you guys for your great insights there. And who else do we have? What products does Flora's company deal with? Yeah, Flora, could you briefly say what your company produces again?
Our company introduced, right?
Yeah, your products that you make.
Yes. Actually, can you see here?
Probably not really.
Yeah. This is our main product. We are mainly doing warehouse, like this.
Yeah.
Your warehouse. The different warehouse we did it in the different country. You can see this catalog.
Different kinds of structures. Well, yeah, I would recommend, if you want to get a closer look at those products, and indeed for those from James or Leo's companies, you can click in the description of this video. There should be some links to their product listings on globalsources.com where you can contact them directly for more information as well in the language of your choice. Let's see. What are some issues you're having with shipping?
Oh my God, I want to see.
Sorry,
about yeah.
Yes, go on.
Because for shipping recently, I met a very a big question for me. I got a deal at July, and when we finished the product, the shipping raised twice. Yes, the firstly, each container is $2,000, and when we finished, it's become to the $4,000. Yeah, it's very not good for me. But finally, I talked with the client because he want to get his cargo as soon as possible. So I undertake this extra cost for him and deliver my cargo. So I think it's very important when you contract with the client. It's better to mark the shipping cost will decide finish the products. Yeah.
Right. So, shipping is a complex and difficult topic, in fact. And got another one in from Wong Chun Hin. He says, "Hi all. Do you think emails and messaging apps are the most significant ways to solve the language barrier problems while doing business?" Well, I mean, Leo, you are a fan of using emails. Do you think they're the best ways? Do you use messaging as well, such as WeChat or WhatsApp?
Yes. I think maybe it's in the important formal emails.
Yeah, I agree, because you have that. Yeah, you have that time to, as mentioned, look words up before you reply. How about James? Do you think emails and messaging apps are the way to go?
Yes, I think emails is the best way. I can have full time to prepare what I'm saying, and we can see all the details listed in emails, so that can avoid many problems.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, of course you have the chain of previous emails that you can read back again and double check. Yeah, often important. Flora, do you agree?
Usually we will talk about some questions by WhatsApp, but sometimes we must confirm some very important questions by email. It can mark
Yeah, so like WhatsApp is okay for initial contacts, but then for serious business, you would use email?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right. I think we may have. So we've got a few comments like great insights. Thanks for sharing these great insights. I think the questions, however, have dried up. Although having said that, if you are watching this on the on-demand video, you can also leave comments for our guests, and we will try and hook you up. Or, as mentioned earlier, if you look in the description, you'll see the links to their company. So if you have questions for any of our suppliers who've been with us today, you can contact them directly through globalsources.com. So, all right, I think we're going to wrap it up there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for spending this time. Andy, thank you for leaping the language barrier and doing all this in English. I know that I would be terrified to do the same thing in Mandarin. So I salute your bravery, and I appreciate your language skills very much indeed. So take care, and I wish you all the best. All right. Bye.
Wish you too. Thanks.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, James.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Flora.
Thank you.
All right, so that was leaping the language barrier. Now, if you do have any questions or comments following that, please don't hesitate to leave us a message down below this video, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, and you can contact all three of those guys. Well, you can contact their companies using the message box on the globalsources.com profile page that will be linked below. I don't know if you'll get to them directly, but hey, you never know. Give it a shot. And now we move on to our second segment, which is all about the product trends, or rather about a particular important product trend that is up and coming right now. And I think we can go over to Manila, where Global Sources analyst Avi Dakuba is waiting to speak with us. Can we? Let me see. There we go. All right.
Hey.
Hi, Avi. How's it going?
Hi, Tom. I'm back.
Yeah. Thanks for, well, did you stick around and watch, or did you go and grab a coffee? No, don't answer that. It's not important.
Oh, I watched it, though. I watched the whole thing. It was very insightful from
I
the
thought so
supplier's
too.
point of view.
Yeah, that's right. Because we get to kind of meet and hear from a lot of buyers, especially when the trade shows are on. But the suppliers don't as often get to share their issues. So yeah, I enjoyed that. But you're not here to talk about language barriers. No, actually, I guess you two are operating in a second language, which is pretty cool. But no, you're here to tell us about robotics. Is that right?
Yes, robotics indeed. So I prepared a presentation. So could I share screen?
Oh yeah, sure. Pop it into the share screen, and we'll get that up for you. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to click a couple of OK buttons and so on.
A lot of clicking.
There we go. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So take it away.
Yay. Okay. So you guys could see the presentation.
Rise of robotics and beyond. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to be talking about robotics, specifically the service robots and educational robots, because among all of the robots, these two are the most popular as of this moment, 2020 and beyond. So first, what are service robots? So service robots can do vacuuming, lawn mowing. Those are the smart home products that a lot of consumers already buy. And telepresence, these are the robots that take your orders in restaurants, hotels, and also entertainment, robots that double as Bluetooth speakers and then video devices. And robots are also being used in training. But right now, we're going to talk about the robots in the medical care and in the education system right now. So first, robots right now are increasingly being used in hospitals and healthcare facilities, and their value is expected to rise with more than $23 billion by 2021, according to ABI research. So why is that? So as everyone knows, there has been a huge problem in the healthcare system because of COVID. So robots can help address the issue of the shortage of doctors and nurses. Healthcare physicians are being overwhelmed in the hospital. So now robots are actually helping them do the job. For instance, In Italy, there's a robot called Tommy the robot, and Tommy the robot, this is actually him right now. A tablet is attached with a mic and also patient monitors, and Tommy the robot is actually the one who tracks the patient's vital signs, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, and more. This is to um, decrease the face-to-face interaction between patients and healthcare physicians. So it's physical distancing in the safest way. And also, Tommy the robot actually also helps deliver packages and food deliveries to patients. So nurses don't have to go there themselves. There you go. And also in hospitals, it's being used in China. This UVD robot from, it's a Danish UVD robot. They actually use this to disinfect hospitals using UVC lights. So they destroy the RNA and DNA of any organism. So it's really safe. So people don't have to disinfect the floors themselves for safety. Robots can do that themselves. So what are the benefits of service robots? So they decrease viral transmissions, and they're also very efficient because these robots are not subject to exhaustion, unlike doctors and nurses that they have to rest. Robots literally just have to be cleaned, and they just have to be charged, and they're off to go. So it's really, really, really efficient. And they're cost effective. Hospitals don't really need to invest in PPEs, gloves, which are very expensive. Just one simple robot can do the job. Just charge them up and disinfect them. And of
Disinfect them,
course,
yeah.
since the robots are doing the other jobs of nurses and doctors, the physicians can have time to attend to more critically ill patients. And going beyond the hospital care, here right now, for consumers, contactless delivery services are really, really becoming popular. So, as Ryan Tuhoy said, the demand for contactless delivery has expanded exponentially, especially in the US. So, these robots are being used to deliver goods so that homeowners don't have to go to the store to buy these products. They just can order online, and the grocery items could be shipped right at their house. So this is going to be effective in reducing face-to-face interactions. So that's the topic about service robots. So now let's move on to educational robots as learning tools. So online classes have become the new normal. So the use of educational robots in facilitating the learning of children will continue to grow as well. And of course, one of the reasons why educational robots are booming is because of the decline of prices of these devices. So they're getting more affordable. So consumers are becoming more interested in purchasing them for their children. And good news for buyers out there, the educational robot market is expected to grow from this year up to 2024 at a 28% CAGR. So that's good news. Buyers, please look out for educational robots here on Global Sources because there are a lot. So, Roy B, it's also an educational robot, was actually named one of the best inventions of 2019, according to Time magazine, because these robots incorporate uh, artificial intelligence and they have facial recognition as well. So they help children and students with vocabulary, language development, conversational skills. And there is actually a robot invented that teaches children self care, good hygiene, and hand washing, specifically inspired by the COVID pandemic. Like they actually made a robot that trains children to have these essential skills. And students can actually converse directly with these robots. And a lot of robots actually from verified suppliers here on Global Sources already offer these products. Like they help children draw and then they teach the children alphabet as well. So that's very much available already here. So what are their advantages? First, they grab the student's interest because like there's a talking robot right in front of you. Of course, the child is really gonna be
Yeah.
interested. And It's gonna be fun for them, as well as repetition and efficiency. Let's say the robot is teaching something. If you're a teacher, you're gonna probably get tired if that child keeps asking you to repeat the same story over and over again. But if it's a robot, you can literally just replay it again and again, and the child is gonna be happy, as well as the teachers and the parents, right? So
Right.
communication skills. Robots are actually helping children with speaking, like learning the English language, segue, leaping the language barrier. Nah, I just try to connect it. So
Smooth.
yeah, and then aside from that, these robots help children realize their passion in STEM, because there are such thing as robot kits wherein children build their own robots. So as early as now, these robots help children develop their interest in science and technology, programming and engineering. And aside from students, teachers, and parents benefiting from these robots, there's actually going to be a job market growth. And it's estimated that there's going to be 133 million more jobs because of these educational robots. So I'd like to end my presentation with this quote by Mr. Elnaz Saraf. He's actually the founder of Roy B Robots. So robots will not be able to replace humans, but they will enhance the quality of our lives by assisting us in ways that were not possible in the past. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. I mean, that's informative and enlightening. I mean, what do you think are some of the ways that buyers can kind of leap on board this trend or take advantage of it? I guess the obvious one is buy robots and then sell them to people. But
Yes.
are there other ways that different verticals will be impacted by service robots or educational robots?
Right now, the smart living electronics vertical is really, really gonna benefit from the purchasing of robots. So, a lot of different types of robots, educational, service robots, and also other types. For instance, disinfecting robots. They're also very popular because of COVID. So buyers can actually check out all the types of robots available in the smart living electronics vertical in our Global Sources website.
Yeah, all right. Now, you're right that these have been around for a while. I remember seeing, some of the I've forgotten the name of that educational robot that was at our Consumer Electronics show a couple of years back, and I think it was still at the point where the price point was not quite. It was a little steep
Uh, uh.
for the average buyer. I mean, are we at mass adoption or nearly there, or are we still kind of looking at kind of early adopters especially for the kind of educational sector?
The educational sector, they're actually not that expensive. They're three digits as far as I remember. So
Hmm.
not all robots are five digits worth. They're actually quite affordable for buyers. And a lot of them actually make it to the top 20 list, especially the educational robot that teaches children how to write and how to draw and all the alphabet and language. They're popular. So they're affordable for buyers.
Yeah, they are. So they're around about it's something you could reasonably pitch at different price points now, basically. So, all right. So, thank you very much for that, Arvi. As
Thank
ever,
you, Tom.
very, very insightful and helpful. And we'll catch you sometime in the future. Don't know exactly when yet, but hopefully we'll have you back on the stream soon
Thank
enough.
you.
All right. Okay. Take care. Okay, that was Arvi with her insights on the trend in robotics for service applications, medical and educational. And if you are intrigued by those products, yes, do go to globalsources.com and start browsing the products. As Arvi mentioned, she alluded to the top 20 list, which is a regularly generated kind of top 20, as the name implies, showing what people are making inquiries about and buying. And the fact that robotics are frequently appearing in those top 20s for different electronics verticals is mathematical proof that they are becoming very mainstream. So yeah, do check that out. And indeed, the suppliers that we welcomed on as our conversational guests earlier in this stream. We'll be back next week with more Sourcing Talk Supplier Stories. But before then, I do need to plug another Sourcing Talk event, which is Buyers Fireside Chat. That is coming up on November the 19th, a bit later than this one. In Hong Kong time, it's 4:30 p.m., which is, I can't do the time zone conversion right now, but you can look online and just set the reminder for yourself, and it will ping you when you need to know. The topic of that is how we do business in sourcing today. So we'll have some expert chat from experienced sourcing professionals hosted by Megla Bhardwaj for you there on November the 19th. So that brings us to the end of the stream. All that remains for me to do is to thank all of our guests, to thank Avi, our analysts in Manila, thank producer Bobo for making the show run, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.